It was a Friday night in 1948, right after Shavuos, when the Beis Yisrael was in shul, and all of the Hasidim, all of his followers were coming up to wish him a good Shabbos, and they made sure to do so with a heavy heart because this was the first Shabbos since he became the Rebbe, that his father, the Imrei Emes, had passed away on Shavuos in Yerushalayim. And he was buried in the back of the Sfas Emes Yeshiva in the courtyard because it was impossible to get his body to the Mount of Olives, to Har HaZeisim, since it was the middle of the war. And as the Hasidim walked over to Beis Yisrael, they realized that he must have been in so much pain, and they wished him a good Shabbos, and he stopped them and he said, I want to share with you an explanation, a commentary on something on the Parsha that's applicable to what we have just experienced, and it's a thought by his grandfather, the Sfas Emes, that was shared to him by his late father. In our Parsha, the Torah tells us that Nadav and Avihu, the sons of Aaron, were killed. And the reason why they were killed is because they brought a foreign fire. They did something that Hashem did not command them to do. They may have had the desire to be closer to Hashem, but even though one has the desire to be closer to Hashem, they can't just do something on their own. And the Pasuk says that Hashem sent down a fire and devoured both of them. Aaron was silent in response. Moshe then tells the Jewish people, the Achechem Kol Beis Yisrael, your brothers, all of the Jewish people, Yivku es hasreifa asher saraf Hashem. Yivku, they will cry over the sreifa, over the burning that God had burnt, meaning they will cry over the deaths of Nadav and Avihu. The problem with this pasuk is that the language of the word Yivku is in future tense, implying that the Jewish people were going to cry over the death of Nadav and Avihu. Nevertheless, the Torah never records actually any kind of crying that took place. So what did Moshe Rabbeinu really have in mind? So the Sfas Emes explains that Moshe Rabbeinu says the reason why the word Yivku is used is because perhaps at this moment the people are so stunned, the people who are in such shock, they can't possibly internalize how great of a loss they experienced. But in days from now, or in weeks from now, they'll be able to really feel the pain, and that may be a more difficult experience than they're experiencing currently at this raw and harsh moment. And so the Beis Yisrael was telling his Hasidim, I may be able to say good Shabbos to you tonight, but I'm really at the point where I know that this is going to only get harder and not easier. I think this is a very important lesson for us when we experience ourselves loss, or we know of people who've experienced loss, and the need for us to be able to keep in touch with them and to offer them our support, to offer them our handshake, our hug, our phone call, our text message, our email, just to let them know that we are thinking of them and that they are on our mind. It tends to be that when it comes to the moment itself that a loss takes place, everyone is very concerned about the individuals who are left to pick up the pieces. And then over the course of time, everyone gets back to their life, and the person who has experienced the loss tends to be alone. We as members of the Jewish community need to remember that it's incumbent upon us to not forget about the people who are struggling with the various losses that they experience, and to be there as brothers and sisters, to lend a helping hand and make sure that they don't feel alone during their time of need and thereafter. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.